Hello, everybody. This is Mike. This is a screencast. Um, it's Let me go ahead and set expectations pretty low. It's going to be very short and very simple. Uh, the only thing I'm going to be doing in this is I'm going to make a small change to the source code to one of my games, build it, run it, show you that the change has taken effect. That's it. I might talk a little bit about the code and the project, but not much more than that. So let me go ahead and get into this. So the game is Slart Boss. It is a kind of a dark comedy, sci-fi, futuristic, post-apocalyptic um, uh, setting, far future, what I call Normerica, in the fictional year 2100 CE. Um, has a bunch of different influences like Fallout, Idiocracy, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, um, a bunch of other kind of really geeky things. And of course, it's also a roguelike game, but it is an action game. It's a real-time action game. Most roguelikes are turn-based. This is real-time. The physics, the world is always moving and advancing. Even if you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, the world keeps moving forward. Um, and most roguelikes, have like maybe have a fantasy setting, swords and sorcery, whereas this is futuristic sci-fi, so you've got robots and tanks and lasers and all kinds of cool things like that. AI mines. Um, it's written in Golang. Um, this isn't my first roguelike. I wrote a roguelike in Python many, many years ago, and I actually sold it to customers and promoted at conventions. This is the first one I've done in Golang. Um, I've got a couple different repos. There's a public-facing repo and then a private-only one. The public-facing one, it's already out on GitHub. People can see it now. It doesn't have the code of the game, but it does have some sort of descriptive text of the game. It will show lots of screenshots from the prototype, and it has links to demo videos on YouTube. So go check that out. That's under my GitHub account, a repo named slartboz.pub. This is my private repo, and it just has the source code. Let me get moving here. I'm already in that directory on my machine. You can see this is the top level. You see a bunch of subdirectories and files. There's a README. I actually write READMEs for myself to help me remember things, and then eventually, if I ever give it shared with the public, they will inherit that too. You see the go mod, go sum. Um, and yeah, a bunch of top level stuff: notes, logs, screenshots, videos, sounds, untracked logs, untracked sounds. You see reference to lat-learn. The most important thing here is the code. So almost all of Slartboz is built out of a single file of source code named slartboz.go. A small portion has been carved out, and I named it lat-learn. It's now its own independent project up on GitHub, but it started life as literally the subsystem of Slartboz, which let me measure latency and report on it. I just genericized it and put it out there for other people to see and other people to use. The bulk of the code is a single file named slartboz.go. It's currently about 26,000 lines. Uh, I would not do this in a normal project, like for a company, or if you have a team of people, if you have many developers, you shouldn't have all of your code in one file like this. This is a bad idea. It's an anti-pattern. But for a solo developer and a private code base, this is a really good idea. It has a really great advantages to it, at least for me, especially because this file is actually not too big. If it was like a million lines of code, don't have that in a single file, even as just one developer. But 26,000, it's actually not bad. It compiles pretty fast. It's more convenient for me. I do all of the development in Vim, and really, no matter how many lines it is, I can jump around instantly wherever I want. Beginning, end, middle, function definitions, struct definitions, uses of variables. I can put in little bookmarking comments, breadcrumbs. I'm able to jump around everywhere instantly, and so it's just actually more convenient for me to have everything in one file. That then becomes one buffer, and it's just super easy. And also, so far the builds are pretty fast. This is not a big deal. 26,000 lines is nothing. If it was like a million lines, then yeah, that would be harder to compile. So before I get into the code, I'm going to just show you this thing building and running now as it is. This is the splash screen. I'm not going to explain this too much. Most important thing is the top. You see it says Slart Boss, Phasmagic Tales in the Sling Groove. So that's the name of the game. The name of the game is Slart Boss, and Phasmagic is like kind of the subtitle. I'm going to change the title of the game. Oh, really quickly, let me show you. I'm already going off my narration script here and doing this out of order, but I'm probably not going to redo it. So here's the build and run script. You see a bunch of lines. Some of them commented out because I don't always do them. The core of this is really go, build, slartboss.go. It's a Golang based project. So build it, and then if that succeeds, run it. I set a couple environment variables, one related to incurses. I use incurses as my sort of TUI library. It's a completely terminal-based game, and I use curses for the visuals. And then VLC, I use that for my sound subsystem. I play different sorts of sound effects and music, and VLC just really rocks for that. Exit that. Did that. I did. Oh, let me show you something really quick. Going to git log. You see the most recent commit. Literally, it was last November. It was the most recent commit I put into this, at least on this branch. I don't know if I've got other branches, project branches that are more recent than that. I jump down to the bottom. You can see, oh look, the first commit was last year in May of 2023. The last one was in November. So there I'm just filtering for all of the commits, the hits of the word commit. 711. This repo has 711 commits, all by me, from May of 2023 up through November. So 711 commits on Sarboss, and that's how you end up with that, 26,000 plus lines of code. I should have just hit up arrow. I'm not going to redo this. Sarboss, I go. We start at the top, jump to the bottom. You can see, oh look, 26,000 lines. Back to the top. Yeah, pretty boilerplate package, imports. Let me go back to the bottom. The very bottom is like, that's where I keep the main function, and then at its heart, so this is a 2D real-time action game played in a terminal. I use a really common pattern. It's not unique to me. Everyone ends up learning this, or they reinvent it on their own independently, but I basically have a top-level loop. The core of the game engine anyways, is basically a loop. It's a for loop. And each time it goes through a set of actions every single time. At least the actual details of what those are fluctuate they vary based on the state, but the high level purpose of those actions is always the same. It's a really common pattern. So this is the heart of the Slartboss game engine. There's many names for this pattern. I call it an OIU loop, which stands for output, then input, then update. Output like mode.render, input mode, handle input mode per iteration work. I have this thing called a mode, and it represents kind of a combination of the state of the program, the state of the screen, how it handles input, how it modifies state. If you've ever heard of MVC or model view controller architecture or design pattern, it's very similar to that. So what we do here, and you saw reference to latlearn. Again, latlearn started life as literally just my code for instrumenting for basically measuring latency, taking samples of latency, and then reporting on it, which is very important for doing tuning and trying to make sure it stays very responsive even when there's a lot of things going on, lots of combat and monsters and lots of creatures doing thinking and planning, and they're shooting lasers at each other and trying to evade them, and there can be lots of stuff happening in the battle, especially. I want to keep it really performant, so I use latlearn to measure that stuff and tell me what I need to know. Again, O, then I, then you, not too sexy. You see some stuff related to sound life cycle, sound cleanup. Oh, there it is, generated latency report. Okay, not too exciting. I need to speed up here because I said I would. So I'm going to just change the title of the game. I happen to know I do that down in init titles is where I do the top level setting of the game at runtime, how it reports everywhere. Okay, I've set it, and I've written it to disk. I would normally go through all of this much faster if I wasn't talking loud. Let's build and run it. Okay, you saw this change take effect. You see up there it says Lart Boz. There you go. So that was it. Thank you for sticking with me. I don't think I'm going to do this again, so thanks for sticking with all the glitches and the awkwardness. Partly was planned, partly was improvised. I'll probably do more in the future, focused either on latlearn, going a little deeper on that. I might do more with Slartboz or on how Slartboz uses latlearn. I've also got a project where I'm writing a book on software performance and scalability, effectively HPC. That's one I could potentially go off on. And even in that book, I use latlearn. I refer to latlearn, and I try to go back. I try to connect these different projects. I try to have overlap between them in ways where there's some natural kind of synergy. But we'll see. Thank you for sticking with me, and now I will try to see if I can remember the hotkey chord to end this.